There were also many beautiful women in the Supreme Divine Palace, but there were the least in the Dan Hall, and there were a lot of other halls, especially the Sword Hall, where the most beautiful women were located. After Feng Yujie entered the Supreme Divine Palace, she had restrained herself quite a bit. Right now, she could already control her kind of mysterious and enticing power, and at the same time dress herself up simply, so she was not too eye-catching in the Supreme Hall, because there were a lot of beautiful women dressed up here. After Xianxia entered, he came to the counter. He saw a few men mumbling to themselves, saying that the old man was very black-hearted and something like that. Now, Xianxia finally understood why there were so many people in Supreme Hall, but why there were so few people who came to the counter to question him. "Old sir, I am from Dan Hall Tianjun." Xianxia immediately reported his background, in case he was scammed later on. The old man at the counter was tall and thin. He had a head of short white hair and a small goatee. His skin was very white and tender without any wrinkles. He looked very energetic. "Show me your jade tablet. If you pretend to be one of Camel's men, then you'll be out of luck." The old man laughed sinisterly, causing Xianxia's heart to tremble. He quickly took out his identity plate and handed it over. After the old man read it, he returned it with a smile. "As expected, it's just like what old Luo said, a young fellow. Why did you look for me? I won't take your Xin Yuan stone. Then I will thank Senior first. I want to find a person who has entered the Supreme Divine Palace in these past few decades. He is bald and he is... I came in after passing the trial." Xianxia lowered his voice and said, "Can you find it?" The old man immediately said, "There is one baldy, but he didn't pass the trial to come here. So far, only you have passed the trial to come in. You are sure that your friend has passed the trial?" Xianxia was immediately suspicious. Could it be that Xiao Chou had not passed, but he had sought Feng Yujie out after the deadline? If he had not gone for the trial, he would have died. He would not have been able to find Feng Yujie. "Are there any portraits of that baldy?" Xianxia asked again. After entering the Supreme Divine Palace, he had never met a baldy, so he looked around with the only hope in hand. The old man took out a piece of paper from the storage magic treasure and gave it to Xianxia. He has been in the Soul Hall for decades, and has gone out with their hall master. He has already been out for a few months and should be back very soon, so he should be the first hall of the Supreme Soul Hall Divine Hall. This bald head is very outstanding, and might become the first hall master. The old man said. Xianxia couldn't understand why Xiao Chou didn't go through any trials, but still went into the Supreme Divine Palace, and did it so well. He had originally guessed that Xiao Chou was going to the boxing hall, but he hadn't thought that it would be the Soul Hall. This was also pretty good. When he needed Beast Divine Soul in the future, he could go and find Xiao Chou. Xianxia thanked the old man once again and strolled around Supreme Hall. He quickly found Feng Yujie, who was currently looking for a place to post her purchase notice. "Sister Feng." Xianxia patted Feng Yujie's shoulder and laughed. Feng Yujie turned his head and saw Xianxia approaching. He smiled. "It's great that you're here. Help me find a good place." The notices that were posted in the Supreme Hall were all bought from the counters, and were valid for 10 days. After 10 days they could be torn down, and if they did not expire, the counters would know that if they caught one, they would be punished by many Xin Yuan stone. In the lower right corner of the announcement, there was a countdown such as 7 days, 6 days, 5 days. If it was not displayed, it meant that time was up. The spirit energy on the notice paper had also disappeared, and tearing it down would not result in any punishment. Xianxia released many Divine Soul S, and quickly found over 20 outdated announcements, which he could tear. "I found more than 20 locations. How many pieces of paper do you have?" Xianxia asked. "1. Every piece of paper is worth 200 Xin Yuan stone. It can only be used for 10 days. That old man is very evil. Buying 20 of them would cost more than 4,000 and it would be done in 10 days. Last time I went to ask him something, and he actually charged me 1,000 Xin Yuan stone." When he talked about the black-hearted old man at the counter, Feng Yujie got angry. Xianxia couldn't help but laugh, then pulled Feng Yujie's hand and walked away. "Brat, where are you going?" Feng Yujie asked. "Take out the notice paper, you only need to paste one. It's hard to find." Xianxia said, "You have to post more, or else who knows how long you will have to buy it for. How could I have so many Xin Yuan stones? Buying 20 of them at once would only take 10 days, and if we were to split them up, it would take 200 days. It would be more worthwhile since I have the time." Although Feng Yujie did a good job in the God's realm with a lot of good money, but in this place money was useless as scrap metal, so she was very thrifty right now. Xiang had already pulled Feng Yujie to the counter. Feng Yujie did not want to come here, because she felt a shadow over the black-hearted old man. "Old mister, I want to buy some notice paper. Can it be cheaper?" Xiang said to the old man. When Feng Yujie heard this, he thought to himself, "If you know how to be cheap, then I'm dead." The old man from the Supreme Hall is the #1 bandit in the Supreme Divine Palace. When the old man saw that it was Xiang, he immediately took out a stack of paper and laughed. "Take it." Feng Yujie was immediately stunned. This made her feel like what she was seeing was an illusion. This black-hearted old man actually gave Xiang so many pieces of paper for free. There seemed to be at least 50 of them, and he even told Xiang to use them before taking them. Xiang hurriedly thanked her, then pulled Feng Yujie to a place where they could stick some more, and stuffed the stack of papers back to Feng Yujie. "Take it." Feng Yujie was still in a state of shock. After taking the medicine, after confirming that it was usable, he took a deep breath and asked, "What relationship do you have with him?" "Nothing, because I'm from the 10th hall." "All right, do you want to transfer halls?" "My hall master said he can let you transfer there." Xiang laughed proudly. "It's really possible, of course I want to go over. I have long heard that many alchemists want to transfer over, but he doesn't accept them. Just with the advantage of being able to take the notice paper for free, how could it not move Feng Yujie's heart?" With Xiang's help, Feng Yujie had quickly put up 50 pieces. When the two of them returned, passing by the counter, they saw a few middle-aged men dressed in sword hall attire talking to the old man with a serious expression. "Xianxia is dead. Also, Songpeng and the 3 hall masters who were on good terms with Xianxia are all dead. Help me release a message and search for relevant clues." Xiang was holding on to Feng Yujie's jade hand as he walked out. When he heard these words, he was shocked, but at the same time, he couldn't help but increase his strength by a little. Feng Yujie could clearly feel it and was also shocked in his heart. Feng Yujie secretly scolded Xianxia. Not long after he entered, he had already killed a few Supreme Divine Palace disciples, and a few of them were of the Hall Master level. Of course, she wasn't the least bit surprised that Xianxia would do such a thing. Otherwise, it wouldn't be Xianxia at all. Furthermore, she knew that Xianxia wasn't the last resort, and definitely wouldn't kill people. Although Feng Yujie and Xianxia were secretly shocked in their hearts, they calmly walked out of the Supreme Hall. "I'll go look for my hall master first. When I transfer to another hall, I need to greet him. You just have to wait for me in the 10th hall," Feng Yujie said. She did not ask Xianxia about killing Xianxia and the others, because this was not a suitable place to do so. Xianxia's face became gloomy. He was not afraid. He was only worried that it would be found out. He nodded and returned. "Kid, how is it? Have you found your friend?" Seeing that Xianxia had returned, Luo Tianjun shouted loudly. "Yes, but he's already gone out with his hall master and won't be back for some time. That's why I can't see him for the time being." Xianxia laughed. "Hall master, you are indeed very capable. That old man from Supreme Hall confirmed that I am from the 10th hall, and thus gave me a lot of convenience." Luo Tianjun laughed proudly. "Of course I, Luo Tianjun, am capable. I will let you experience me more in the future." Xianxia said, "My friend from the 9th hall has already agreed to come over. Maybe she will come looking for me later." Right after she finished speaking, Feng Yujie appeared at the courtyard entrance. When she saw Xianxia, she ran in while laughing. "Head, this is the friend I was talking about." Xianxia never thought that Feng Yujie would be so fast. "Greetings, Hall Master." Feng Yujie greeted politely with a sweet smile on his face. Luo Tianjun laughed. "There's no need to be courteous. Bring your plate over. I will help you change it. From now on, you are part of our 10th hall." Feng Yujie walked up and handed over her identity jade tablet to Luo Tianjun. After receiving it, Luo Tianjun muttered, Feng Yujie, lowly divine pill god. After reading some information from Feng Yujie's jade tablet, Luo Tianjun branded the 10th hall into the jade tablet. Haha, before, those guys always said that no female disciples would come into our 10th hall. Let's see what they will say now. Luo Tianjun was very happy as he returned the jade token to Feng Yujie. Luo Tianjun had always hoped that there would be an outstanding female alchemist in the 10th hall, but the young female alchemistess would usually choose those Dan Hall S who were ranked in the top few, and the conditions offered by those Dan Hall S were also very good. Not only his 10th hall, but many other Dan Hall S did not have any female disciples. Yujie, wait a minute. Let me see how I can expand this place. I will build a house and an underground alchemy room for you. Luo Tianjun had a headache, because he did not know that his own Dan Hall would suddenly increase by so many people. He converted many empty rooms into a huge pill refining room, the one where the 3 Gu brothers had competed together to refine pills. Right now, he could not change the pill refining room, because the 3 Gu brothers had been competing in that place for many years. If it suddenly disappeared, they would feel very sad. And in order to make the Dan Hall harmonious, Luo Tianjun planned to expand this house. Xianxia suddenly said, No need. Sister Feng can stay in the same room as me. Feng Yujie was startled, but of course she would not agree. She was just about to reject him, but she felt that it would be better this way, because she and Xianxia both had some secrets to share, so living in the same house was not bad. You've developed that relationship. Luo Tianjun was very surprised. He stared blankly for a while, then laughed with an I understand expression. Feng Yujie quickly explained, No, we are only at the same level. We are siblings and we used to often play together. The rooms are very big, we can separate them, I don't mind that, but this way you won't need to trouble yourself with the hall master's work. Although Feng Yujie explained it this way, Luo Tianjun still laughed mischievously. Then it's settled, or else I would have to get the approval of a few elders and hall masters for the expanded construction. It would be somewhat troublesome. At night, Xianxia, Feng Yujie and Luo Tianjun were having dinner in the living room. Luo Tianjun personally cooked many delicious dishes. Third senior brother hasn't come back yet. Xianxia asked. I haven't seen them for a day. Luo Tianjun held onto the food and laughed. Ignore them. Quickly eat, and try out my dishes. Those 3 fellows probably went to look for other halls to make a bet. Xianxia and Feng Yujie both picked up their dishes, but just at this time, the 3 Gu brothers returned. They walked to the door of the living room, and when they saw that there was a woman there, they couldn't help but be shocked, as if they had seen something shocking. Who is it? The oldest Gu asked in surprise. This little girl Feng Yujie greets her 3 senior brothers. Feng Yujie immediately stood up and saluted the 3 Gu brothers gracefully. Luo Tianjun immediately said, Why are you being so polite to them? Quickly cook, continue eating, ignore them. 3 Gu brothers seemed to have understood that this woman was their junior sister, and one that had just joined them, but they still did not dare believe it. That doesn't make sense. Gu Lao Er was stunned for a long time as he spat out these words. Yujie was originally in the 9th hall, so they knew each other since a long time ago. When they bumped into each other here, they told her to turn around, and it was rude of the 3 of you, especially with your current appearances, Luo Tianjun shouted. 3 Gu brothers sat down quietly with a smile on his face. This was because their 10th hall finally had a female disciple. That's right, where does junior sister live now? Why don't we destroy that large alchemy room? Oldest Gu asked. No need. She lives with Xianxia. Luo Tianjun said. Oh. Oldest Gu was startled and then understood. Feng Yujie was too lazy to explain anymore. But when she saw Xianxia's smiling lowly appearance, she secretly stepped on Xianxia's leg. Eat, eat, eat. We have more people now, and not long from now we will let them see how powerful we are in the Dan Hall. Luo Tianjun was extremely happy. After eating, they chatted for a while before returning to their own rooms. Xianxia's room was relatively large. Even with 2 beds, it was still spacious. Brat, Don't mess around tonight, otherwise you'll be out of luck. Feng Yujie pouted and warned as she entered the tight bathroom to take a bath. There was also a bathtub in the room. After Feng Yujie entered the bathroom, he was soaking in the bathtub, snorting for a bit as he washed his body. After Feng Yujie finished showering, he couldn't help but stamp his feet when he saw that Xianxia was actually washing his body in front of her. Xianxia saw that Feng Yujie was a little angry and laughed. "I don't mind if you see me. What do you mind about?" Feng Yujie lied down on the bed, covered her delicate body with a thin blanket and snorted at Xianxia. "Wash faster. I still need to rest. Turn your head. I'm going to stand up." Feng Yujie laughed sinisterly. Feng Yujie immediately turned over, and Xianxia quickly stood up and put on her clothes. After he laid on the bed, Feng Yujie sent him a sound transmission. "Did you really kill those guys?" "I was the one who killed them. In that situation, I had no choice but to kill them, or else the one who would be in trouble in the future would be me. Don't worry, they won't find out. I did very cleanly at that time." Xianxia said. "Tell me what happened." Feng Yujie was a little curious. Not long after Xianxia came in, he started to make enemies with others. Xianxia told Feng Yujie everything about how he went through the trial to enter the sword hall, and how he had a conflict with Xianxia and the others when he was picking the herbs. These guys really have to kill them. Feng Yujie had already known about the divine lotus root. "So you're saying that you have a divine lotus root in your hands?" Xianxia said. "Of course, but back then when I copied it, I used up many of my spirit pearls, so if I wanted to duplicate it now, I would need to condense a lot of spirit liquids myself. If I had spirit pearls, it would be a lot faster." Feng Yujie was also clear that the effects of the alive slain method, dual cultivation, would be many times greater than that of the spiritual liquid he condensed alone. "We're not in a hurry to get the spirit lotus right now. We need to learn how to concoct more divine pills first." Feng Yujie said. "You will start refining the Yusin Dan tomorrow. I will continue to purchase my medicine and help you pay attention to the movements of the sword hall. You have to prepare for the worst yourself. If by any chance you don't find out, you will immediately leave the area under the jurisdiction of the Supreme Divine Palace." Xianxia had thought of this since long ago, but now he felt that they wouldn't be discovered. Otherwise they would have found clues long ago, because with the death of the 5 important Sword Hall disciples, they wouldn't just disappear. It was enough for the Sword Hall to send out a lot of power to investigate. "Sister Feng, do you want to learn my heavenly alchemy? Right now, your focus is mainly on refining pills. If you were to learn heavenly alchemy, there would be more pills produced." Xianxia said. "Of course I do. When I first saw Xiangyu and the rest concocting so many pills, I was already envious of them. Is this hard to learn? Xiangyu and Xianxia both have a heavenly alchemy foundation, so I'm worried that it will be difficult for me to enter the sect." Feng Yujie said. Even though she had received guidance from the Divine King at a young age, she had never trained in the heavenly alchemy, so she did not understand it at all. "It's not that difficult because your foundations are not bad. Let me enter your divine sense and I will pass on to you the heavenly alchemy that I've learned." Xianxia and Feng Yujie's relationship was so close that he wasn't stingy at all. "Don't mess around when you enter my divine sense." Feng Yujie scoffed. Xianxia laughed. "As long as you don't do anything to my divine soul." The last time Feng Yujie had entered Xianxia's divine sense, he had seen Xianxia's divine sense world, and now Xianxia also wanted to see Feng Yujie's divine sense. Xianxia walked up to Feng Yujie's bed and gently tapped the center of Feng Yujie's brows with his finger, and a thin layer of mist leaked out. Feng Yujie relaxed his body and allowed Xianxia to enter her divine sense world. Very quickly, Xianxia's divine soul arrived at a magnificent palace. Looking at this palace, Xianxia could not help but be shocked. Isn't this heavenly divine palace? Just a moment ago, he really thought that he had appeared in the 9th heaven of 9 Heaven Devil Palace. Pretty much, my divine sense world is just like that, because I really want this heavenly divine palace to appear anew. Feng Yujie's divine soul gradually appeared in the air, and appeared in front of Xianxia's face. Xianxia followed her into a beautiful and quiet garden. You can pass on your skills to me now. Feng Yujie sat on the grass in the garden. Xianxia also sat down and began to pass his heavenly alchemy to Feng Yujie. It was already morning and Xianxia had already finished transmitting his skills. Because Feng Yujie did not have the same cultivation base as Wu Qianqian and Wu Qianqian, imparting the techniques to him would be extremely difficult as well. Fortunately, Feng Yujie had a very high comprehension, and under the method of transferring his skills through the divine soul, he quickly comprehended a few things. No wonder you always make pills that can shake the sky and earth. These methods are way too magical. Feng Yujie gasped in surprise. The few types of cultivation techniques that you have obtained are the ones that I have currently comprehended. After you become familiar with them, you can go and comprehend your own cultivation techniques. Everyone will be able to comprehend different types of cultivation techniques from them. Xianxia laughed. Do you want me to pass the alive slain method to you? Feng Yujie lightly snorted. No need. I've known this for a long time. Qilian passed it down to me. The strongest part of the alive slain method was the dual cultivation. When Feng Yujie saw Xianxia smile so mischievously, she knew that he had that kind of idea, and just as she was thinking that, the clothes on top of Xianxia's body suddenly disappeared. Xianxia was immediately stunned. His divine soul was weaker than Feng Yujie's, so in Feng Yujie's divine sense sea world, he could directly control his own divine soul. The clothes on his upper body suddenly disappeared, which must have something to do with Feng Yujie's thoughts. This also caused Xianxia to think about it. He never thought that the beautiful and pure Nine Heavens goddess would actually treat him like this. Very quickly, Xianxia was forcefully sent out of her divine sense sea, and Feng Yujie buried his face in the blanket. Although Xianxia did not see it, he knew that it must be extremely red. It's daybreak. Hurry up and do what you need to do. Feng Yujie covered her head and softly said in a pout, Little scoundrel, don't come near me. Xianxia had a wronged expression on his face, but he did not do anything wrong. Nothing happened just now. I won't bring it up again in the future. You still said it? It's all your fault. It's all your fault. Feng Yujie shouted out. Although her voice was loud, it was hard to hide her embarrassment. Xianxia chuckled. All right, then it's all my fault. I'll leave now. He immediately ran to the bottom of the secret room to study the Yusundan. Feng Yujie only dared to reveal her head after a long time, but her face was still red. She never thought that she would suddenly have such an idea towards Xianxia, and when she thought back, her face immediately flushed red. Feng Yujie left for Supreme Hall very early in the morning. She was going to fix her notice because she was already at the 10th hall. When she arrived at Supreme Divine Palace, she saw the few middle-aged men in charge of investigating the incident with Xianxia. There were also many bounty orders pasted on them. All of them had clues related to the bounty. We've just gotten some clues. On the day before Xianxia and the others disappeared, they went to purchase medicinal herbs. We've checked one by one, and a family has also gone missing. The middle-aged man said to the old man behind the counter. In the end, we searched around and found traces of a fight, but the scene was very cleaned up and there weren't any clues left behind. However, we learned that the missing family members are a young lady and little girl. We need to find them. When Feng Yujie heard this, he was worried in his heart. She had already learned from Xianxia that the grandfather and grandson pair were going to the heavenly divine profound lake. If they were stopped halfway and asked about something, Xianxia would be in danger. After hearing what she said, Feng Yujie did not continue modifying her notice and immediately went back to look for Xianxia. Xianxia had not started to refine pills yet, but had used his spirit essence to look at the spirit blood S inside the ingredients. When he heard someone approaching and sensed Feng Yujie's aura, he immediately stood up and walked over to open the door. Brat, the people in charge of investigating the situation have found some clues. They are going to look for the old lady and little girl. This is their only clue. Feng Yujie said. I heard it from the Supreme Hall. Right now, Xianxia was not worrying about himself, but worried about the ancestor and grandson. He didn't know where they had gone to right now, or else he would have chased after them immediately. Seeing Xianxia's worry, Feng Yujie said, We have been waiting patiently. Xianxia nodded. Refine well, wait until we accumulate enough strength. Then we'll go take a look at the mysterious sky deity's lake. Feng Yujie comforted Xianxia. After Feng Yujie left, it took Xianxia half an hour to calm down. Yusin Dan requires 3 types of inferior-grade divine medicines, and these are shopping Dan that use fewer divine medicines. It's no wonder that they're not welcomed, since the effects are not strong. If I were to add another inferior-grade divine medicine to enhance the original abilities of the Yusin Dan, then it would definitely be very popular. Xianxia was rummaging through the low-rank divine medicine in his memory, looking at the suitable ones to go with the Yusin Dan. The spirit orb used to copy the medicinal ingredients was almost used up, and using the spirit liquid slowly, Xianxia felt that it would be better to refine the pills to exchange for Xinyuan stone, and then purchase the medicinal ingredients faster. Xianxia looked at the 3 divine medicines on top of the jade basin. These were all low-grade divine medicines used to refine Yusin Dan. Felt that the effects of the pellet that was refined from the crescent moon divine fruit should not be too bad. The Yusin Dan, on the other hand, was much weaker, and it must be because of some other reason that the effects of the crescent moon divine fruit could not be unleashed and it was suppressed. The last type was the jade-green tree roots, something that many divine trees had. When some divine trees grew to a certain age, the roots would turn into jade-like jades that could be used to concoct pills and also have good healing effects. The jasper root and the purple beard are both things that grow only when they have reached a certain age. They can be considered very common, but the crescent moon divine fruit is not the same as these 2 elixirs. After Xianxia carefully analyzed these medicinal ingredients, he fell into deep thought. If I want to add another medicinal ingredient, then I need to have the same special name as the crescent moon god fruit. At the same time, I need to be able to combine the medicinal ingredients together with the jadeite tree root and the jade flower purple bee to form a line and fuse these 3 types. The 4th low-rank divine medicine that was added was extremely important. Not only did it have to have a strong enough healing effect, it also had to be able to reconcile the other 3 divine medicines. What is suitable? The knowledge that Feng Yujie had imparted to him was constantly flashing through Xianxia's mind. 2 hours had passed and Xianxia had finally found something that was more suitable for him. The specifics would need to be tried first before he could confirm whether or not they perfectly fused together. Let's first refine a cauldron first. Xianxia had yet to start concocting pills, and the reason he was concocting pills now was only to familiarize himself with the true specialties of the Yusin Dan's various medicinal ingredients. He only had 2 sets of Yusin Dan's ingredients in his possession. After refining this batch, he would have to make a copy which would consume all of his spirit liquid. After a day's time, he successfully refined a batch of Yusin Dan. His original source refining on top of refining divine pellets also had a very good effect, allowing him to quickly finish refining them. The first time was not going to be easy. It would take a long time and a lot of patience. For pellets, if I sell one for 100,000 Xinyuan stone, I wonder if I can sell it a little faster. In Xianxia's hands were 4 divine pellets that looked like purple jade beads. These were Yusin Dan-s. If it was in the Supreme Hall, then it would need 10,000 Xinyuan stone. The 3 types of Yusin Dan's medicinal herbs were all relatively common, and if 30,000 Xinyuan stone could be received, then even if it was only selling for 60,000 one pellet, it would still be worth a lot. Of course, this was only true for Xianxia, because he was extremely fast in refining Yusin Dan using the original source refining. After familiarizing himself with it, he was able to refine 1 pot in half a day and could refine 4 pills at a time. If it were any other alchemist that had just touched the divine pellet realm, then it would at least take 10 days and at the most half a month. This is the first divine pill that I will concoct after I become a pill god. Xianxia sighed deeply as he looked at the 4 Yusin Dan-s. He wanted to refine that bone-level Dan even more. He desired bones very much, because it would allow him to have even more power. It was night when Xianxia came up from the secret underground room. Seeing Feng Yujie quietly sleeping on the side of the bed, that beautiful posture of hers made Xianxia reluctant to move his eyes away. Feng Yujie suddenly opened her eyes. Although she was fast asleep previously, a strong warrior of her level would immediately catch her if she made a sound, then quickly wake her up. When she heard Xianxia opening the stone door of the secret room, She immediately woke up. I'm going to take a bath. Xianxia laughed and immediately went into the bathroom to wash his body. He had concocted pills for a long time and was sweating profusely. Feng Yujie snorted lightly and used the blanket to wrap herself up tightly. Hearing the splashing sound of the water in the bathtub, she couldn't help but think about it, and quickly remembered that Xianxia was in her divine sense, making her feel embarrassed and embarrassed. With such a big bed, don't you feel empty sleeping on your own? Xianxia walked out from the bathroom and said while laughing, None of your business. Hurry up and go to sleep. Feng Yujie's jade face was flushed red, but because of the dim light in the room, Xianxia did not see it. After Xianxia laid on his bed, he said, I have already successfully refined 4 Yusen Dennis. Sister Feng, tell me, if I were to buy 100,000 Xin Yuan stone S, would it be possible for me to sell it quickly? At this point in time, Feng Yujie already had an extremely deep understanding of the heavenly alchemy. She was not surprised at all that Xianxia had refined 4 Yusen Dan. It's still a little difficult. The 80,000 Xin Yuan stone should be able to be sold very quickly, Feng Yujie said. At this time, she was also stirred up, wanting to test the Yusen Dan with her heavenly alchemy, to see if she could refine 4 pills herself. Xianxia asked, How many herbs did you purchase? When he asked about the present, Feng Yujie was a little helpless and sighed. I was going to buy the same one today, but that guy's asking price is too high, 100,000 Xin Yuan stone. I didn't ask for it. She only had the few Xin Yuan stone that Xianxia had given her. If she were to buy this portion, she wouldn't have much left. Buy his tomorrow, and sell these 4 Yusen Dan as well. Xianxia said, Since you have learnt the alive slain method, you should be able to condense more spirit liquid in the next few days. Feng Yujie suddenly felt that it was somewhat useless. She was stronger than Xianxia, and had even inherited the 9 divine kings' legacy. And now that she urgently needed the Xin Yuan stone, since she felt so powerless, she couldn't wait to let Xianxia help her. Brat, I heard Chilean say that you can condense spiritual beads just by kissing, right? Feng Yujie suddenly asked with a voice as soft as a mosquito's. It was obvious that he was shy. After Xianxia heard this, he did not immediately reply, but sunk into silence, while his heart thumped rapidly. Feng Yujie obviously had this kind of plan. For him, asking this question was way too unexpected. Yes. Xianxia was silent for a moment, before calming himself down and saying indifferently, I've heard that this method of condensing spirit orbs has a pretty good effect. After all, the two of us are both powerful gods. Feng Yujie grabbed onto his blanket tightly and bit his lower lip lightly. He was carefully considering whether or not he should do that. Just like this, the room sank into an extremely emotional atmosphere and was silent the entire time. Only after an entire hour had passed did Feng Yujie finally call out in a low voice, Come over here. So it's like this? Is it really okay? Xianxia did not go over immediately, which made Feng Yujie a little angry. She did not want to discuss this matter so much, so she hoped that Xianxia could hurry up and finish this matter quickly by kissing her. If you don't want to, then forget it. Feng Yujie scoffed. You don't know the process. Will be going on for a long time. Xianxia kindly reminded him. It was not that he did not want to, it was just that he was worried that Feng Yujie would feel awkward in the future and distance himself from him. Damn brat. If you don't come over, I'll ignore you. Feng Yujie scolded. The moment she finished speaking, Xianxia appeared on his bed. Feng Yujie had still wrapped himself in the blanket, tightly, and only his head was exposed. Xianxia lit up the night illumination pearl above and chuckled. Is this how it starts? Feng Yujie pouted. Then what do you want? Seeing Feng Yujie's red face, Xianxia also didn't know how to make his move. He smiled and replied, Indeed, I want you to just take the blanket away. It will feel better if you hug me like that. I won't lie to you, after all, we need to continue doing this until dawn. Feng Yujie had already decided to throw caution to the wind. After kicking away the blanket, he acted as though he was at your mercy. He gently pouted, Damn brat. Hurry up. This was the first time she had played this game. Although she had teased Xianxia before, She really felt that it was too childish to let such a thing happen. She did not want such a thing to really happen to her. Sister Feng, you are Sister Yu and Sister Meiyao's mother. Do you think that's good? Xianxia laid beside Feng Yujie, using his fingers to caress her white and tender earlobes, laughing wickedly next to her ear. You should already know that Sister Meiyao is dead set on me. She's already my woman, and she's your goddaughter. Feng Yujie really wanted to roll over and give Xianxia a fierce slap. These words at such a critical juncture was clearly meant to tease her. Stinking brat. Stop pretending with me. Feng Yujie flipped his body and pressed Xianxia down backwards, then directly put his own sandalwood mouth under Xianxia's body. That fragrant tongue had already entered Xianxia's mouth and was moving around randomly, a little crazily at that. In that moment, Xianxia's mind was blank. He never thought that Feng Yujie would suddenly be so intrepid, forcefully kissing him. This was the first time he had experienced this. At that time, Xianxia was just a little brat that she could do whatever she wanted, while she was the empress that could not. Thinking back how soft she had been to Xianxia just now, even she felt ashamed of herself. Now that she had the upper hand, she felt really happy in her heart, because she had recovered the confidence that she had in front of Xianxia in the past. Xianxia did not allow himself to be outdone, and fiercely embraced her. With a flip, he pressed her down below. Just like this, the two of them turned and turned, both of them wanting to be on top, but their lips were tightly pressed together to kiss, and they did not start cultivating the alive slain method. It was obvious that they had already been captivated by this wonderful feeling and were unable to extricate themselves, and were deeply intoxicated in it. The two who were kissing each other unknowingly released the feelings they had hidden deep within their hearts. At this moment, they realized that they liked each other quite a bit, but they hadn't said it out loud in the past. The reason why they had such a deep attraction towards each other was because they thought that after coming to this place far away from the god's realm, they would rush over here even more thoroughly. This was because they had left their familiar environment and came to this unfamiliar and helpless place. Of course, they did not know that because they had entered each other's divine sense C before, and to let others enter their own divine sense C, it meant that they had an incomparable trust in that person. Faintly, this trust also strengthened the feelings in their hearts. At first, the two were very arrogant, but as time went on, they gradually became entangled, and soon after, they also entered the state of cultivating a live slain method with great tacit understanding. In the morning, Feng Yujie woke up and sat up. He spat out a light blue spirit race pellet, which was different from the color that Xianxia had condensed when he had kissed LV Qilian. Xianxia giggled as he looked at the snow-white breasts that were exposed on the side of Feng Yujie's body. Feng Yujie spat lightly, rolled his eyes, and pulled off his clothes. Although they had done something very intimate, they had not broken through the last line of defense yet, because Xianxia could feel that Feng Yujie was still unwilling. He was very experienced with this feeling. I want to keep it. Feng Yujie laid on Xianxia's chest and said softly and sweetly, let's come back tonight. We can still condense a lot more. It's up to you. You formed it anyway. Xianxia caressed her long black hair and laughed. Sister Yujie, you are so beautiful. Brat. Feng Yujie laughed and pinched his face. Give me those yusindan. I'll go sell them. Xianxia passed the yusindan to Feng Yujie, and after Feng Yujie received it, he tidied up his clothes and combed his hair, then rushed to Supreme Hall to issue the notice. Xianxia stretched his back, washed up, and then went to find Luo Tianjun. Luo Tianjun was originally resting, but the moment he heard Xianxia call for him, he immediately opened the door and walked out. You're up so early. What's the matter? Luo Tianjun held a bottle gourd in her hand. This bottle gourd was emitting traces of a very strong divine soul energy. When Xianxia saw the bottle gourd, he knew that it was one of Luo Tianjun's more important divine tools. Hallmaster, I would like to ask if it is easy to acquire Xinjiang Gold Ginseng S here. Xianxia wanted to improve the Yusindan. He said that the Xinjiang Gold Ginseng that he needed to add are Xinjiang Gold Ginseng. Luo Tianjun thought for a moment, then said, there are some, but it's not common. If you want to buy it, you have to prepare at least 150,000 Shen Yuan stone, or even 200,000. Although this kind of divine medicine is very strong, the healing effect is very strong, and some Zhongping Dan would even add this kind of medicine. As long as there was it, Xianxia believed that as long as he bought it patiently, he would be able to get it. Returning back to the pill refining room, Xianxia took out the Yusin Dan's medicinal ingredients and used the remaining spirit liquid he had to replicate. What surprised him was that he could only replicate 2 portions of the elixir. He had expected him to replicate at most 1 portion of the elixir. 8 Yusin Danes. If they are sold at a low price, they should be sold out very quickly. Xianxia took a deep breath and started concocting pills. Although the spirit liquid was already used up, Feng Yujie was willing to cultivate a live slain method with him and would condense the blue bead. When the time came, he only needed to purchase enough ingredients, and he would be able to use this bead to replicate. After refining 2 batches of Yusin Dan, it was already afternoon. Xianxia walked out of the pill refining room and saw Feng Yujie sitting at a table. Xianxia saw that Feng Yujie's face was filled with a sweet smile, and asked, "Is there any good news for me?" "Those Yusin Dan have been sold. 1 pellet of the 80,000 Shin Yuan stone. We now have another 300,000 Shin Yuan stone." Feng Yujie laughed. "Besides, I've also acquired 2 of the divine medicines that I need. I'm just short 3 of them." Xianxia laughed. "I also have some good news for you." After he finished speaking, he took out an exquisite jade box and opened it. There were a few jewel-like Yusin Dan inside. 8 pills. Feng Yujie shouted. "Today, I copied a portion of the Yusin Dan's medicine. Oh right, when you go tomorrow, help me paste a notice that I want to purchase the Xinjiang Gold Ginseng. I plan to merge the Xinjiang Gold Ginseng into the original Yusin Dan's medicine." Xianxia sealed the jade box and placed it in Feng Yujie's hands. Feng Yujie nodded his head. "This way, we will be able to gather the required divine medicines very quickly. At that time, we can use the spirit pearl to duplicate them." Xianxia laughed. "We will begin now. By tomorrow morning, we should be able to duplicate 2 pills." Feng Yujie's seductive eyes lightly glanced at Xianxia and chuckled. "What a naughty little brat. Then let's start now." On the second day, Feng Yujie indeed condensed 2 light blue spirit orbs from her small mouth. She gave them to Xianxia, because the first one she condensed yesterday was left as a souvenir, so she did not use it for Xianxia to copy. "Today, I'll go with you to the Supreme Hall to take a look. I don't have much to do today either," Xianxia said. Feng Yujie nodded, then walked out of the room and left the courtyard hand in hand with Xianxia. When they were walking out, they were coincidentally seen by Luo Tianjun. Luo Tianjun shook his head and laughed. "These 2 youngsters love each other so much, and even said that they are just ordinary friends. Hall Master, should we register them for the Sovereign Conference?" Oldest Gu hurriedly ran back from outside. They had been away for the past 2 days, so they went to prepare. As they were the main forces of the 10th Hall, the competition of the Dan Hall was about to begin. Luo Tianjun already knew that Feng Yujie knew how to refine Yusin Dan, and he could be considered a pill god. Although Xianxia had the divine pill formula, he couldn't use it for the competition since he was a bone-level Dan, so he was not a pill god yet. "We'll talk about it when he gets back. He definitely has to participate. If he can't participate in the competition, then help him register for the sacred pills." Luo Tianjun said, "Now, I can help your junior sister register to participate in the shopping dance competition." And Feng Yujie arrived at Supreme Hall and asked the old man at the counter for a few notices. The old man was very willing to gift them this notice to save them a lot of Shun Yuan stones. "Why are there so many people here today, especially at Sword Hall?" Xianxia said softly. With a single glance, he saw disciples dressed in Sword Hall robes. Of the 4 great supreme palaces in the Supreme Divine Palace, only the Dan Hall didn't have uniform, so you could tell at a glance that they were from the Dan Hall S. The old man behind the counter laughed. "The competition of the Supreme Palace that occurs once every 100 years is about to begin. The outstanding disciples in the various halls have all come back one after another, because this is a great opportunity for them to come into contact with the divine nations, especially with those from the heaven realm." Luo Tianjun had said before, as long as they could get into the top 3, They would have the chance to have a meal with the members of the royal family in the divine nations, and even enter the imperial palace to communicate with the outstanding royalty. Xianxia was still not sure what group she was going to join, and Feng Yujie was definitely going to join. She came to the Supreme Divine Palace because she wanted to find a way to contact the divine nations. After Feng Yujie finished writing the contents of the notice, he and Xianxia went to look for a place to post. As soon as they entered the crowd of people, it attracted the attention of many. Seeing that Xianxia and Feng Yujie did not have any uniform attire, and the notice that was posted was for purchasing medicinal herbs, he confirmed that they were disciples from Dan Hall. I never thought that there would be 2 more young alchemists. I wonder where they came from. All the young faces of the alchemists can be counted with one hand, and they all have deep backgrounds. A man wearing a black cloak said. On the back of his black cloak was drawn a very imposing fist. He definitely doesn't have a backer. Otherwise, he wouldn't have come here to purchase medicinal herbs. A middle-aged man sneered. The man from before said, "Look, the people from the first sword hall have gone over. This guy from the first sword hall always likes to cause trouble, and he also really likes to tease the female disciples who just entered the Supreme Divine Palace." Xianxia and Feng Yujie never thought that they would be watched by someone like that. They only felt that it was weird. After all, they were people who had experienced many things, especially Feng Yujie. "Little girl, did you just join the Supreme Divine Palace? Which hall are you from?" A handsome man with long hair that fluttered in the wind walked over with a very annoying smile on his face. Feng Yujie burst out in laughter, and someone actually called her little sister. She replied softly, "I'm from the 10th hall." Although the 10th hall brought a cross, their overall strength was still at number 2. When Xianxia heard about it from the 3 Gu brothers, he thought that they were just bragging. But he found out later on that it was true. The 10th hall. Knowing that Feng Yujie was from the 10th hall, the man let out a hollow laugh. The 10th hall's Luo Tianjun was extremely famous. He definitely knew of him. Suddenly, someone shouted, "Isn't he the person who defeated Song Peng with 1 sword strike? He went through the trial and entered the Dan Hall. I never expected to enter the Dan Hall. His sword arts are very terrifying. I thought he would enter the sword hall." Song Peng's miserable defeat was a very famous event in the sword hall. Many disciples thought that the one who defeated Song Peng was someone who excelled in the way of the sword. But who would have thought that they would actually join the Dan Hall? You defeated Song Peng and you still want to challenge Xianxia. But looking at your current state, you shouldn't be such a crazy person. The long-haired man sized up Xianxia. He had developed a very strong interest towards him. Xianxia and Feng Yujie were both worried because he and Xianxia had their own contradictions, and now that Xianxia and Xianxia were both dead, if someone connected them together, Xianxia might be in trouble. As long as there was no conclusive evidence, Xianxia would never admit it no matter what. He was confident that he had done it cleanly and would not leave any traces behind, unless Su Lingfei and her grandmother exposed him. Xianxia slightly smiled. I wasn't crazy in the first place, but if someone was crazy in front of me, I would be more crazy than him. With that, Xianxia pointed to the notice paper and asked, "Senior brother, I wonder if you have seen this divine medicine before." "I've heard of it, but not seen it." The long-haired man shook his head slightly, then returned to his own junior and junior brothers. Originally, he had wanted to find some fun, but he knew that the disciples of the 10th Dan Hall were not to be trifled with, and the 2 young disciples in particular were extremely important to Luo Tianjun. Just as everyone turned to look at Xianxia and his group, they suddenly heard a trembling not too far away. "Fuck off!" A thunderous roar exploded, shaking everything endlessly. Someone was actually fighting here, and there was even such a large commotion. The old man behind the counter was also surprised and a bit angry. He immediately went over. Xianxia and Feng Yujie also went to watch the commotion. He saw that the floor had already been broken into pieces. The thick and solid stone floor had been broken into pieces. A middle-aged man was lying on top of the broken pieces. This middle-aged man's chest had been stepped on. Xiao Chou. Xianxia was ecstatic. Xiao Chou had returned. He did not expect that he was the one who did it. If not for the urgent arrival of the old man at the counter, Xiao Chou might have continued to step on him. What's going on? The old man behind the counter asked with a dark expression. Xiao Chou was still the same as before, with a shiny skull. Currently, he looked very mature. He did not seem like someone who would get angry casually, so there must be a reason why he was so angry right now. Xianxia saw a red-clothed female standing not far from him. Her face was filled with worry, but when she saw that the old man standing at the counter had arrived, she anxiously walked over and timidly said, "The elder is... This man is the one who bullied me. He was in chaos. Feel free to touch me." Seeing the lady, Xianxia could not help but laugh. He never thought that Xiao Chou had finally awakened, and that he already had someone he liked. Xiao Chou was Xianxia's disciple, and also the descendant of the Herculean god. Xiao Chou had a very powerful divine veins legacy. His strength was very scary, and like Xianxia, he was also a very abnormal guy. Now, he even entered the Supreme Divine Palace, becoming an outstanding disciple amongst the Soul Hall. The old man looked at the middle-aged man whose chest had been broken by Xiao Chou, and asked coldly, "Is this true? Elder, I was careless." The old man frowned as he saw the flash of light in the middle-aged man's eyes. He said in a cold tone, "Be quiet." "Yes." As soon as the middle-aged man admitted to it, the old man waved his hand and the middle-aged man disappeared. The Supreme Divine Palace's space was extremely sturdy. Even a few elders who used the power of space could not easily travel through space. However, the old man had already made them disappear with a wave of his hand. "I'll let you go this time. There won't be a next time," the old man said to Xiao Chou, who was sweating profusely. He did not know if it was because Xianxia was Xianxia's friend that he would let him go. "Little fellows who have just returned, please do not cause trouble at my place. The one who disappeared after making trouble here over the years is not the same guy from before." With these words, the old man returned to his own counter, leisurely reading a book. "Xiao Chou, wait for me in the 10th hall of the Dan Hall." Xiao Chou's sound transmission suddenly came to Xiao Chou's mind. He was pleasantly surprised, and then, while dragging the red-clothed female, he hurriedly left the Supreme Hall. After Xianxia and Feng Yujie finished posting, they returned to the 10th hall. Returning back to Hall 10, Xianxia already saw Xiao Chou and the pure red-clothed female in the hall. "Master, it's really you." Seeing Xianxia, Xiao Chou anxiously walked out of the hall and grabbed both of Xianxia's arms. He was extremely excited. "What? Do you think I died in that trial?" Xianxia laughed and patted Xiao Chou's head. "You have become so powerful. Maybe I can't even beat you anymore." "Master, let me introduce you. This is my wife, Zhu Siqing. Qing'er, quickly call for Master." Xiao Chou pulled Zhu Siqing over. "He's the master that you and I have been talking about often." Qing'er greets Master and Mistress. Although Zhu Siqing was a little shy, she was very meticulous and noticed Feng Yujie, who was walking over with Xianxia. "Mistress, isn't that the goddess of the 9 heavens? Master, you and her." Xiao Chou saw that Feng Yujie's face had changed and did not continue the topic. It looks like Xiao Chou knew a lot of things. Xiao Chou laughed dryly. "Qing'er, you have a lot of masters. I don't think this is the case." Feng Yujie purposely pretended to be fierce. "Why can't I be your mistress? Don't tell me that you think I'm not worthy of your master." "This? Well, you really are." Xiao Chou did not dare believe it. He knew how powerful Feng Yujie was. He knew that Feng Yujie was a powerful existence who had inherited a large portion of the 9 divine kings' power, and was actually on good terms with his master. Feng Yujie held onto Xianxia's arm and laughed tenderly. "What do you think? Why aren't you looking at Qing'er? I could tell at a glance." "All right. Disciple pays his respects to mistress." Xiao Chou scratched his head and shouted as he pretended to bow. Xianxia had many questions for him, especially how did he manage to enter the Supreme Divine Palace, but he did not go through the trial. Xiao Chou could already tell what question Xianxia was going to answer from his expression. Invited Xiao Chou and Zhu Siqing to sit in the hall and pour them some tea, causing them to feel extremely flattered. As a junior, especially Zhu Siqing, she was a little nervous at being treated by her master like this. "Master, how long have you been here? I've been waiting for you for so many years, but I haven't even seen you. I thought you died during the trial. Xiaoqiu chuckled. You are indeed resilient, you still won't die even like this, and you even came in. Hearing Xiaoqiu's words, Xianxia really wanted to go over and slap his head hard. What a joke! How could I have died so casually? Xianxia took a deep breath, then asked, what exactly happened to you that you came in without going through a trial? During the trial, I was worried about you all day, thinking that you would die during a trial. Xiaoqiu laughed. To be honest, if I am allowed to undergo this trial, I might really die inside. After I enter, I can only hold on until the second round, and I won't be able to hold on anymore. So right now I really admire you, Master, for being able to pass this damn trial. Xianxia laughed complacently. Otherwise, would I have been your master? Quickly tell me, how did you come to this supreme divine palace? I am very jealous that you entered without going through the trial. Thinking back to that trial, Xianxia felt like vomiting. That's because I suddenly encountered the ancestors of the Herculean god tribe during the trial. Because of his accommodation, the Supreme Divine Palace's palace master made an exception and allowed me to live, so I couldn't be considered to have passed through the trial. Xiaoqiu laughed somewhat embarrassedly. Xianxia was a little confused. He took a sip of tea and asked, is your giant god clan ancestor very powerful? To be able to make the Supreme Divine Palace master make an exception, you need a very high status. He's an elder in Supreme Divine Palace. He's also my hall master. He's the hall master of Soul Hall's first hall. A while ago, I went out with him to gain experience, and after seeing this super god realm, Qing'er is his granddaughter. Xiaoqiu looked at Qing'er and smiled. From their eyes, one could tell that they had deep feelings for each other. So that's how it is. Xianxia nodded. Feng Yujie laughed. Xianxia, your disciple already has a wife. Are you not going to give Qing'er a present? Xianxia thought about it carefully. He didn't have anything that was suitable for Zhu Xiqing, because Qing'er's grandfather was a very powerful hall master, and also a supreme god of the Herculean god tribe. Qing'er here. Feng Yujie saw that Xianxia was startled, and took out a small red wooden case. Thank you, mistress, master. Zhu Xiqing stood up and quickly thanked him. Xianxia did not have anything he could take out, but Feng Yujie did have something he could take out. Xianxia was very curious about what it was, and laughed. Open it and take a look. Zhu Xiqing's face was flushed red. She did not expect Xiaoqiu's master to be so easy to talk to give her a present the moment they met. Just now, he had even poured her a cup of tea. He opened the small red wooden box. Inside was a pill. This is the Zhongping Dan. Xiaoqiu was a little surprised. He had originally thought that they were just shopping Dan, but to him and Zhu Xiqing, shopping Dan's gifts were already considered good. After all, they were not like Xianxia and Feng Yujie who could easily sell their pellets and quickly earn Xin Yuan stone. Feng Yujie laughed. Just a little kindness, Qing'er. You must use it well. Zhu Xiqing nodded immediately and thanked Feng Yujie once again. Xiaoqiu, have you learned anything in Soul Hall? Xianxia was rather curious about the matters in the Soul Hall because the Soul Hall could hunt powerful divine beasts. After suddenly refining the divine soul of the divine beasts, they could allow humans to integrate into the beast's soul as their innate divine soul, and could also obtain the unique and powerful innate ability of those divine beasts. The bones needed to be fused with this type of beast's divine soul. So Xianxia wanted to understand more about this matter right now. When he had the bones in the future, he would ask Xiaoqiu to help him create a good beast's divine soul. Xiaoqiu scratched his head and laughed. There is a lot of knowledge to learn in Soul Hall, especially the soul refining technique. It is very difficult. Qing'er is better at this than me. I have learned everything from her now, master. If you need beast divine soul right now, Qing'er and I can maybe work together to help you get one good. Xianxia laughed. I do not need it now, but when I need it, I will look for it myself. When I find it, I will then let you guys refine it. When that time comes, it will be very easy for me to fuse it, right? Xiaoqiu nodded his head. As long as you refine a secret method, you will be able to perfectly integrate it into your divine deity, and will be able to unleash a very strong power. So, master, It would be best if you could find a superior one when you are searching for a beast's divine soul. I will. Xianxia was currently only a lower god with 2 souls. If he wanted to become the supreme god, he would need 8 souls and 8 divine deity. In addition, he still had to cultivate bones so that his own body would have divine deity as well, and then merge with the divine soul so that the strength possessed by his fleshly body would be as strong as that of his divine soul. Master, how strong are you now? It's been so long that I can't tell. Do you think you're a god? Xiao suddenly asked, his face full of curiosity. Xianxia smiled and said, "What about you? The feeling you give me is that you're a 3-soul 3 divine deity intermediate god. Right? After I entered the supreme divine palace, with the help of Qing'er's grandfather, I used the bloodline of my Herculean god tribe to grow at a very fast pace. Of course, the main thing is that Qing'er's grandfather gave me 2 sets of very good divine soul for me to fuse with. I only managed to cultivate 2 sets of divine deity." Xiao could not be considered to have advanced by leaps and bounds, because he had already been in the supreme divine palace for dozens of years, and because Xianxia was in the trial grounds, he had lost all these decades of time. Right now, I am just a lesser Empyrean god. Xianxia sighed. I am not your opponent. No, Master has always been very powerful. Although he is not as strong as me now, he will be able to catch up very soon. I believe in Master's strength. Although Xiao said it modestly, he had a complacent smile on his face. Master, how long have you been training? I heard from the hall master that it's extremely scary inside. Especially at the end, it's almost impossible to pass that test. Xiao asked. He found it hard to understand why Xianxia had passed because he understood the rules later on. Especially those countless traps. As long as he fell in once, he would be able to start anew. It wasn't too long ago, just a few years. Compared to the time I spent outside, the time inside was quite ludicrous. After I finished the trial, decades had already passed outside. Xianxia said, "The only reason I can pass was due to luck." Xiao did not believe it. He knew that it was impossible to pass just by luck, and that it required a large amount of strength. Xianxia was indeed relying on luck. If not for the fact that he met Yuer, the little kitten from Beast Divine Palace, he didn't even know how he would have died. The reason that Xiao rushed back from the outside was to participate in the 100-year large competition of the Supreme Palace. This was also to broaden the horizons of the divine nations, and Xiao also wanted to go to those places. Xianxia was only creating Yusen Dan now. In his opinion, it was not enough for him to use this pill to participate in the competition, unless he could purchase a Xinjiang gold ginseng and improve it. If he could refine a shopping Dan much better than the Yusen Dan, he was confident that he would win. Xiao and Xianxia chatted for a while before he and Zhu Xiqing finally left. Sister Feng, what pill did you give to Qing'er earlier? Xianxia knew that it was a Zhongping Dan, but he didn't know its name. I refined it some time ago. Cannot be considered a very good Zhongping Dan, but it is much better than a shopping Dan. Now, I am also prepared to use your method to improve this pill. Feng Yujia laughed. She was familiar with the techniques of the original source refining, and knew that using this method, one could fuse the medicinal ingredients that were difficult to fuse. Xianxia laughed. That brat Xiao was so cocky in front of me earlier. I cannot lose to him. If not, the little guy will quickly become arrogant to the heavens. Feng Yujia laughed. Then let's work harder. Because they had nothing else to do. Xianxia and Feng Yujia had long since went into the house to practice the alive slain methods condensing spirit pearl. Early the next morning, Xianxia and Feng Yujia were still wrapped up in bed, when they suddenly heard Luo Tianjun shouting outside. Brat little girl, there's someone looking for you. They're here to sell divine medicines. Usually it was Xianxia's turn to call them Luo Tianjun, but today it was Luo Tianjun's turn to call them. Feng Yujie got up from bed in a hurry, simple enough to tidy up his clothes, then walked out of his room to the hall, where a black and white-haired middle-aged man sat. Xianxia walked in at this time, and when he saw this middle-aged man, he had a very strange feeling. This middle-aged man gave off a very ancient aura. Wearing a black robe, he was the boxing hall's uniform. Xinjiang gold ginseng, 200,000 Xin yuan stone. When the middle-aged man saw Xianxia and Feng Yujie walking in, he immediately raised the price and did not say anything unnecessary. On Feng Yujie's notice, it said that he bought it with 150,000 Xin Yuan stone, so it was normal for the middle-aged man to come here to bargain. Quite a few. Feng Yujie asked. He knew that it would be a little less. When Feng Yujie asked this question, the middle-aged man immediately stood up and prepared to leave. All right, 200,000 is 200,000. Feng Yujie immediately shouted out. Although it was a little expensive, as long as they could purchase it, she and Xianxia could make an unlimited copy. The middle-aged man took the storage bag from Feng Yujie and counted it carefully before taking out the Xinjiang gold ginseng. The Xinjiang gold ginseng seemed to have been carved out of gold. It emitted a kind of gentle sunlight, and when held in the hand, it also felt a burning sensation. This is a Xinjiang gold ginseng. Outside the courtyard, Luo Tianjun saw Xianxia and Feng Yujie praising, and shouted. With Luo Tianjun's words, Xianxia and Feng Yujie were not as determined as they were before as they immediately reached an agreement. The middle-aged man quickly walked out of the 10th hall. A price of 200,000 is considered normal. Right now, even 150,000 Xin Yuan stone is hard to accept. Luo Tianjun laughed. He did not ask what Xianxia wanted this Xinjiang gold ginseng to do, because Xianxia had told him before that he wanted to create a divine pill formula to participate in the competition at Dan Hall. Brat, you can now register to participate. Which group do you think you should join? Luo Tianjun asked. This group of shopping Dan. Xianxia replied. How many days do we still have left? 3 more months. Luo Tianjun gave Xianxia and Feng Yujie a fruit each. Most of the disciples that leave will be back in these 3 months. 3 months was more than enough for Xianxia. Feng Yujie asked, Hall Master, when can we register? Is it us who should go? Luo Tianjun laughed. Little girl, I've already gotten the oldest gu to help you register. The one who is participating in the Shopping Dan group is us, 10th hall. Other than you and me, everyone else has already registered to participate. Hall Master, can you change it? I want to join the Zhongping Dan group. Feng Yujie smiled sweetly. You guys are underestimating me. Luo Tianjun was startled, then chuckled. Of course you can change it. We have indeed underestimated you. We are truly sorry. Xianxia was also surprised, but thinking about the Zhongping Dan that Feng Yujie gave to Zhu Xiqing yesterday, coupled with the fact that she had obtained the heavenly alchemy, refining the Zhongping Dan was extremely easy for her. Hall Master, did you prepare the medicinal ingredients yourself? Xianxia asked. Of course I'm preparing it myself, so if you can't find the medicinal ingredients, then don't participate. Luo Tianjun laughed. I think all of you will be preparing the ingredients needed at that time. I will need to prepare a set of ingredients for the pill formulas that I am most familiar with, and the other pills will be provided by the Dan Hall. I'll join when the time comes. I'm not sure which group I'll be joining. Luo Tianjun sighed. If I participate, I would have to bring out the things that can be lowered. Xianxia was puzzled and asked, Hall Master, aren't you guys the only ones who are in the Shangping Dan group? Feng Yujie shook his head. Of course not. Above the Shangping Dan there is still the Supreme God Pellet, and after the Supreme God Pellet there is the King Grade, Heaven Grade, Saint Grade, and finally there is the Sovereign Profound Pellet, which is extremely difficult to refine. Luo Tianjun laughed. Little girl is right. I am considering whether I should join this group of Shangping Dan or not. Xianxia did not know that there was still such a high-leveled pill in the Shangping Dan. If it was really like that, then what kind of divine medicine and pill formulas would be required to refine it? Luo Tianjun being able to refine a Taipin Dan caused Feng Yujie to be secretly shocked, because she knew the level of being able to refine this kind of pill. The herbs that Feng Yujie had purchased were all from Shopping Dan, but she had to register to join the group of Zhongping Dan. After Xianxia and Feng Yujie entered the room, Xianxia asked, Sister Feng, the low-grade divine medicines that you bought are for refining Shopping Danes. Feng Yujie laughed tenderly. Originally, but not now. All the medicinal ingredients can evolve after buying them all and then use the spirit orb to give birth to them, and then evolve to a Zhongping medicine. At that time I will directly use it to refine a Zhongping Dan. Of course, refining this pill requires over 600 other Shangpin Holy Danes. I have already gathered all of them. Xianxia felt that it was very troublesome, because he felt that when he refined a large amount of Zhongpin Dan in the future, he would first need to refine a large amount of Shangpin Holy Dan. Therefore, he planned to find a way to solve this problem from the heavenly alchemy. Xianxia placed the spirit orb into a bowl of water and let the spirit orb dissolve it, causing the water in the bowl to turn light blue. Then, he cut the Xianyang gold ginseng in half and placed it inside the bowl. The Xianyang gold ginseng quickly reacted and began to absorb the blue substance in the water. New parts of the Xianyang gold ginseng began to grow out of the wound, just like a gecko with a short tail. Feng Yujie was not unfamiliar with this scene. She had often seen LV Chilean and the others do this before. The originally light blue water quickly became transparent, and the cut-off Xianyang gold ginseng did not completely grow any broken parts. Seems like I need 2 of them. This Xianyang gold ginseng is different from the other low-rank divine medicines. It absorbs a lot of energy. Xianxia placed another blue spirit orb into the water, and the spirit orb released a blue energy. It quickly melted, and the blue energy was absorbed by the 2 Xianyang gold ginseng. In a few blinks of the eye, the 2 halves of the Xianyang gold ginseng in the bowl turned into 2 complete halves, emitting a dazzling light. Not bad, you earned 200,000 Xin Yuan stone so quickly. I wonder if the refined pellets could be sold at this price. Don't lose out. Feng Yujie saw that the Xianyang gold ginseng was copied out of her own spirit pearl, giving her a sense of accomplishment. I still have 2 spiritual beads. Let's try and see if I can replicate the 3 types of low-rank divine medicine from the Yusin Dan. Xianxia took out other Yusin Dan's medicinal herbs and began to refine them. With just a try, they had seen how big of a difference there was between the 3 medicines of Yusin Dan and that of Xianyang gold ginseng. 2 spirit pearls could actually be duplicated into 2. If the Xianyang gold ginseng successfully fused with the Yusin Dan's medicinal ingredients, then the effects of this pellet should be considered the best in the healing category of shopping Dan. Feng Yujie exclaimed, "Are you going to start now?" "Yes." Xiang nodded. He could not wait any longer. Just as Xiang was about to enter the underground chamber to concoct pills, he suddenly heard Luo Tianjuan's shout, "2 young men, come out quickly. There's something urgent." Xiang and Feng Yujie had no choice but to go out immediately. "Hall Master, what is the matter?" Xiang asked. "Oldest Gu is in trouble, let's go take a look." This was sent by Gu Lao-san just now. Luo Tianjun shook the communication jade symbol paper in his hand. "I heard that he had a conflict with some fellows from the other Dan Hall. He told us to go over and support him, and especially wanted us to let you go. Then let's hurry up." Xiang laughed. "So it was because of some trouble with the other Dan Hall. I had thought that something big had happened." This made Xiang and Feng Yujie a little worried. What big thing can happen to my Luo Tianjuan's disciple? Even if something bad happens, I can help them deal with it, Luo Tianjun said heroically as he strode out of the door. Xiang and Feng Yujie anxiously followed. Walking on the road, Xiang said, "Isn't this the path to Dan Hart Pavilion? Could it be the Dan Hart Pavilion?" Luo Tianjun laughed. "I guessed it, those 3 brothers are inside the Dan Hart Pavilion these days. Of course, the other old brats from the other Dan Halls will also be gathered there, waiting for those fellows who return from the outside world, and scold each other whenever they meet one another. This is an event that happens once every 100 years. The corner of Xiang's mouth twitched. "Damn it! It's so boring." Luo Tianjun laughed out loud. "If you had lived as long as them, you would also have done such a silly thing." Sure enough, when he approached the Dan Hart Pavilion, Xiang heard his scolding voice. "Old turtle, you're a turtle who has been cowering for several 100 years. Now that you've appeared, not only can you bite people with your mouth, you can also fart. Are you hiding in the turtle shell? Or do you only know how to fart on your buttocks and mouth?" This was the voice of the oldest Gu. It sounded very energetic, as though he was using all his strength to curse. After he finished cursing, a burst of laughter followed. It seemed like there were a lot of bored people watching the battle. "You old bastard. Have you forgotten about the matter that you lost to me 3,000 years ago? Back then, when you lost, you called me grandpa, and many people present heard it. Old bastard Gu. Have you forgotten about the matter that you lost to me 3,000 years ago? The person that was scolded by the oldest Gu immediately replied. Xianxia and Feng Yujie couldn't help but laugh. This oldest Gu actually had such a dark history. Oldest Gu immediately roared out, "Old turtle, 2,000 years ago, when you lost to me, you knelt down and kowtowed to me, calling me ancestor. Everyone present also saw this, but now, even if you want to recognize me as your ancestor, I will fucking reject unfilial descendants like you." Chun Xiang found it hard to imagine that three Gu brothers had scolded him like this for a few days while participating in that Pill Dao debate. Normal people could not do such a thing. Oldest Gu, what did you ask us to do? Luo Tianjun brought Chun Xiang and Feng Yujie to the cursing grounds. The crowd, who were originally laughing, immediately quietened down. After all, Luo Tianjun was a top existence amongst the Dan Hall. Even in the entire Supreme Divine Palace, he had a very high position. This bastard said that there are no young people in our 10th hall. I want to let them see the young people in our 10th hall. Not only young people but also young girls. When the oldest Gu saw Chun Xiang and Feng Yujie had arrived, he anxiously pulled them over. You two quickly show your tokens. Let this old turtle, who has shrunk his head for hundreds of years, see if there are any youngsters in our 10th hall. Oldest Gu pushed Chun Xiang and his sister into the middle of the cursing ground, leaving Chun Xiang and his sister extremely speechless. This three Gu brothers told them to come due to an urgent matter. It was actually using them to slap someone else's face. Did you see that? This is our 10th hall's new disciple? Oldest Gu proudly swept his gaze across the other disciples of the Dan Hall, then arrogantly shouted, "If you have the guts, pull out your young people and let's see who's the strongest." Humph. Our young disciple is currently in closed-door training. How could he have the time? I admit that there are young people in your 10th hall, but that doesn't mean they are powerful. Our young man has the ability to suppress them. The old man who was scolding oldest Gu earlier was not one to be outdone. Luo Tianjun laughed. The little imps from your group have never called you senior brothers before, right? Furthermore, they are so arrogant that they don't even put you in their eyes. Although they are a bit skilled, their hearts are simply too terrible. Second brother Gu laughed. You can't even call all of you as trash, but we can call all of you our brats over. What are you all so proud of? That brat probably hasn't even looked at you. The old man had no way of refuting him. He took a few deep breaths of anger and said unhappily, "That guy has the ability, he has the right to be arrogant. Your boy is very obedient, but he has no ability.